great. We're streaming. Yes.
You just need to
Today,
see me. That's all. That's all you need.
right, right. So, well, today the live stream today is basically on case study. Like we had this conversation a day ago about with Kate Winslow. Today is my guest. She's a life coach and she works with teenagers as well as I am. And we were talking about high achieving parents, and apparently they have underachieving children. It's no surprise for me because like in the family dynamic there has to be balance, so we're going to look at it today. Why is it happening? What can we change? What does it mean at all? And Katie, maybe you dig deeper, start explaining this case study. It was, I believe, it's actually a very classical situation. Once I work with parents and teenagers, I work with older teenagers during this transition, high school years and the college years. And usually parents complain is, oh my God, I'm doing a lot of things. Moms sometimes work in technology and they're juggling a lot of things. They're high achievers. They're very good at structured routine, and they're right, and their kids are just like on their phones and like very sluggish, and like it irritates those kind of parents because we're clashing in the styles. Like, okay, I'm gonna pass this to you, so maybe
Sure.
you can explain
Yeah,
more.
I think it's important to just kind of maybe go back for a second how this whole conversation started. I think you and I connected and we were talking about specifically, our cultural backgrounds, right? Like we, both of us have immigrated from former Soviet Union. We speak Russian. So
Yeah,
we
I
were
am from
raised by parents who, Belarus? Okay,
yeah, I'm
Russian
from
speaking country,
right,
very
I'm from
similar
yeah.
mental.
Sorry,
Mhm.
let's take turns. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. No, that's good that you corrected me. Not part of Russia anymore, Belarus. But yeah, it's just that mindset, I think, of the achiever. And you and I kind of touched a little bit on where that comes from. And it is that sort of like a survivor instinct, right? That our parents embodied during those difficult times that they were raised. Like their parents were maybe like on the tail end of World War II. There wasn't a lot of things available back then in Soviet Union. And so food was scarce. They were surviving. Their parents were surviving. And so they come into parenthood with that mindset to parent us, our generation now, right? However, we are raised in a different environment, you and I, where maybe there isn't there isn't as much scarcity. I immigrated in 96, so I like escaped Russia, I think, right when things got really bad after perestroika. And so I kind of was able to be in a different environment here in America. I grew up here. But my parents brought with them not only their suitcases, right? Like not only their stuff that they accumulated back in Russia, they also brought their mindsets with them. And so there is this clash that happens because there's no, scarcity here in America. Everything is fairly available. They got to a point where they had good jobs, both of them. They had good incomes, but then they were still kind of, carrying that with them. Does that resonate with you, what I'm saying right now?
Yeah, that makes sense because we didn't have anything, and we had to work hard to get those things. We wanted those things because we didn't have them. Now our children have different situation. They have everything, so they basically don't have this inner motivation to get stuff because they already have it. So, and the question is like, how do I get motivation when I already have everything?
Mm-hmm.
So, well, our parents didn't have much to pass to my generation. So we didn't have much help, like financial, or I don't know, we could all only come back home, get some food, and bring back to our dorms like a lot of bags of like conserve with this like panichki, like cans of
Uh-huh.
stuff, like kartoshka, potato, sack of potato. Like my husband had a sack of potato in the closet. So our kids are seriously, they developed a closet that was not closet. They put the wooden wall in it and put the sack of potato inside. So you open the closet and you can see they have a lot of
It's like
potatoes. So
storage instead of a closet.
and the whole dorm would come to his room and asking for a couple of potatoes. So, well, we had this survival. We learned
Mhm.
creative ways to survive and thrive even. And I even didn't pay attention if I was hungry or not. It was not just in. I don't even see this as a trauma or like. Yeah, it was traumatic. There was traumatic experiences when there was sudden economy crash. Let's say we went to vacation and then we come back and the money
Disappeared.
disappeared. So I had 2,000 in my bank account. My grandma gifted it to me, and suddenly it was like $2 basically, like to,
Yeah.
and it was so unfair. So we've been through stuff, and it's like from this place when we didn't have, well, my experience now has like, imagine your parents, like if you feel related to what we're saying right now, like imagine you're a parent and you have good experience and bad experience. You had money crash periods, you have periods when you have money. Our kids don't have this experience. They're just scared. Whatever they're experiencing now and observing this economy, it might bring up anxiety. Like my daughter was sharing, like, I can't even think about buying a house in this economy, in this situation. And like she gets so frustrated. And I was like telling her that everything is temporary. Economy is temporary, your financial situation is temporary. Like you just keep doing stuff. And like she didn't even have they don't have this experience yet, having both, like having
Mhm.
different experiences. So this is why like it's end of the world for now for them. So did I
Yeah,
get off of the topic? So what
a
was,
little
we
bit.
can
I
come
think I
back to
think
this.
we need to, yeah, we need to swing back
So
to why
well
these, well, first of all,
well
why the high achieving parents are high achieving, right?
right.
Like
So
that
that
comes
was
from somewhere.
correct. So why we were high achieving? Because we didn't have stuff, and they do have stuff. And oftentimes it creates a conflict because it's hard to pull out the empathy out of us as parents. And why I brought up my daughter, because like the next day she texted me, Mama, sorry, I was cranky. So I was trying to motivate her actually, but my words wasn't helpful. And she apologized for nothing basically in the morning. Like, you have the right to be cranky, it's fine. And I said, I'm sorry I couldn't pull out empathy
Hmm.
because I had different experiences, and because like I don't know, I'm just a mom, I'm doing mom things. Why I'm like, because the topic is high achieving parents and underachieving um, children. My daughter is high achiever actually, but anyway, why I'm touching this, and
You're
I'm
an
not,
outlier.
I'm actually oh my god, why I'm
Um,
saying this, because empathy is the first step. Like if you have underachieving kids, like there's a lot of irritation, there's a lot of judgment in us, there's a lot of pressure, and we notice only bad stuff that is happening.
mhm.
But we get to start from trying to understand what's going on with them.
Yeah.
I'm jumping right into solution right now. So it just to get you curious, we're gonna touch this later. Let's rewind back a little bit. So I'm gonna
This
pass
is
the
another
baton.
thing that we as higher achieving parents do. We like to solve things. We like to
Right.
fix things right away. Yeah. So for sure, there's that tendency, and I think it's important to highlight that that strategy worked for you as a parent. We understand, like, that strategy worked for you. It got you to where you are. So no wonder you're like, it worked for me. That's the only way I know how. I want this to work for my kid. and they are not doing, they don't have the same motivation. They're not as, excited. They're not as motivated. They're not as confident. And so there's a disconnect that is happening. They're like not, they're different from me, right? And
Yeah.
Zhanna, tell me, like, what did you tell me about that when we started this conversation? When that disconnect is happening with your child and they're actually different from you, there's something that needs to happen in you as a parent in order to accept
Oh,
that.
what did I tell you? Remind me.
Yeah, you told me. you, you told me that sometimes parents need to grieve the fact that their kid is different from them, right? Because it's like, I wanted you to be a certain way, but you're not.
In the same way, children, it's for us not having the parent that we needed at that time. And our parents, our own parents, didn't know better. There's a lot of information right now, but our parents didn't know better. So it didn't know better. So we have those wounds also. And this is what creates impatience and judgment when we look at our
Mm-hmm.
kids. So we're passing all of this irritation toward the next generation versus creating like, okay, what creating curiosity and
So let's
understanding.
slow down here, Zhanna, because I think that's really important what you're saying. It's your own personal wounds, right? From your own childhood, the way you were raised that are being triggered when you're parenting your kid. So, like, if you didn't get empathy growing up, if you didn't get acceptance, then it's really hard to know how to do that with your kid, right?
Well, yes. And remember in our conversation, and oftentimes my generation were doing these things. We're like, no, I had a perfect childhood. I had great parents. And then when
Mhm.
I asked you more questions, you were saying, like, what did they do that was working? And you said, like, they just yelled at me and I tried harder. Whoa, whoa, that's a happy childhood, like, I mean, we minimize what happened. Sometimes our parents are great. They're trying so hard, and still they have their own lives, and it's hard for our parents to see the real me because I'm different, and I want to be seen as not you, not as a reflection of you. I want you to see me. I want you to see me how I struggle. I want you to see me how the whole time management is a problem for me. I want you
Mhm.
to see me how I'm so sensitive, or like maybe I'm depressed right now at this period of time. I don't want to hear about grades. Of course, grades important, but what we do as parents, and our parents did that, like, did you do your homework? That's the first sentence that is coming, like, once we see them.
My parents still ask me, not
did,
how my
did you
homework
do
is
your
doing. No,
homework?
but they ask me, like, how's work? That's their first question. It's like, because those things are important to them, right? Like, do your schoolwork, get a good job, stay at a good job, like stay employed. That almost equals happiness, to that type of a mindset, like that type of person. So those are their values. What's important is when you see, and this is what parents come to us with, right? When they see a disconnect, they're like, something is not not jiving here. I am doing everything or similar to what my parents did. Well, I'm not hitting my kid or I'm not yelling at them, but I'm still demanding, I'm still controlling, I'm still fixing, right? All those things are still present. Maybe since, not all the yelling and screaming and maybe occasional hitting like I was raised with. But they see the disconnect and they're like, why is my kid kind of pulling away from me? Why are they not listening to me? Why are they not motivated? Why are they not doing what I'm asking them to do? And it's usually happens around maybe when they start, their adolescence, like when they embark on adolescence, right? Like before then, they're pretty good. Like they're doing what their parents are wanting them to do. They're kind of, marching to the drum of the parent. And all of a sudden, there's a shift that happens. And the parent is like, something happened. They're disconnected from me. They're not listening. Their grades are going down. Like, help me.
Yeah, and there's a reason for this, because like when our children are younger, they need this togetherness. They need this togetherness with us. And after they're like 11, 10, there is a slow separation process that happens. And when they hit 12, 11, 12, sometimes it's 13, different people, different age. The goal, developmental stage is going towards separation. And of course, kids are going to be pleasing parents because the goal is to be very close. I want my mom to love me. Okay. And I'm going to be doing everything for my parents to love me. And sometimes we turn into people pleasers. Sometimes we be very creative how to go around parents' tweaks, but we still want to be together. We want this connection. Then the goal is changing. Developmental stage is going through separation, and it's easier to separate when we have a fight. So I would say from the space of fight, it's easier to disconnect. And that's a good thing. All crises or conflicts, it's a good thing. We're just like this tool for our kids to stand for their opinion, to like learn about communication, learn communication skills, learn about being diplomat, like, okay, how my mom is, like what she likes, how can I make this happen? And they're like learning about people exactly at this stage. So we think it's bad that's happening, but it's actually a good thing. That's one thing. When it comes to high achieving parents, trying to stay on topic so hard, high achieving parents,
stay with me.
Yeah, underachieving, like the first question about, instead of connecting, so we got this, right? The goal is to first connection, because you won't make them do anything unless there's heart-to-heart conversations, there's like fun times together, and it's so hard. They're pushing us away. It's so hard. It's just a challenge for parents. So instead of asking, how's your homework? I would say, what's coming up for you today? That's a better question. It's just reframing the question is a very big
Or
deal.
did you do your homework, right? Like yes or no answer.
Yeah,
Better start with an open-ended question.
even if your child is a gamer and it pisses you off so much, the first they're coming out of the room, the first question, did you do your homework? Because they were gaming a second ago. But instead I started asking, oh, who did you play with? Oh, it was my friend from school, and then the another one, like, because I've heard you laughing, you probably had fun. He was like, yes. And here is the conversation and the homework conversation. And instead of like, did you do your homework? Like, hey, do you need help with your homework? And of course not. Of course they're gonna say no. So don't be scared of this question. Like, do you need help? Are you almost done with your homework? Those are different kind of questions, instead of like, did you do your homework? Or why didn't you do your homework? They don't have the answer on why. Rather than why you didn't do it, the reframed question would be, show me the process. Like, how is your process looks like? And then they're like staring at you. There's no process. Like, okay, do you want me to show you like how to organize it better? Because I'm high achiever. High achievers parents, you're probably the best parent for them, for those kids who are not
Probably,
high
but
achievers.
for sure that you're exactly the right parent.
The only problem, we clash in communicating, and it gets to start with connecting, trying to see your child as a separate individual. This is first. Try to find what they like, because like, forget about they were compliant when they were children. Now they're not. and they're irritated you don't see them. Try to be curious instead of assume they're this way, like assume they're bad or assume they're bad with homeworks. Like try to ask more questions.
Zhanna, what are some other ways to connect with your teen, like before, kind of jumping on them and asking them all these questions that you want answers to? Like
Well,
you mentioned like asking about video games. What else can parents do to connect with their kids?
well, I had a parent a couple of years ago, and she was like, all my daughter wants is like, so I would buy her stuff, do her blonde hair, and do nails. Like, well, great. Let's this be connecting part. But the thing is, we get re-traumatized by that, by looking at that, because we didn't have that. We didn't have the opportunity to blonde our hairs because it was super expensive to go to the hairdresser at this age. They have it. So that's work for us. So see how I can be like, when they ask you, hey, let's do nails together, first thing is like you think about money. But well, congratulations, you found something that you can do together. And with boys could be different things. It's like doing something like pumping the bicycle wheels in the garage or something. You get to learn the love language. Like, okay, do you like gifts or doing stuff together or words of affirmations? Oftentimes, we need a lot. Teenagers need a lot of words of affirmations, and they don't need advice. They don't need life lessons. And my daughter is straightforward. Mom, I don't need the life lessons right now. I'm sorry. And I was like, okay, one more sentence. I'm like, but I'm warning her. She's like, из меня лезет. Like, I'm warning her. It's coming out of
It's
me.
hard to,
Like,
yeah, it's hard to hold it back sometimes, for sure.
right. And
well,
and
I
it
have
becomes
some
fun.
examples because I have a son. So with my son, what I do to connect with him is I really try to stay back from like asking him about schoolwork, about like how he did he do on the test, like all of that just means like I'm trying to micromanage him, and he's very sensitive to that. So it's not to say that I don't ever ask him that, but I do definitely try to connect with him. Like we either like recently we went to see a concert together, someone he really liked, like a band that he really enjoyed, so that's like one way to connect with your kids. Maybe do something you like as well. I personally play video games with my son, like 10 minutes a day.
Oh,
It's
you're
not that
gaming.
much.
I
No,
tried.
10
I
minutes is
can't.
not that
Like,
much though. Like it's doable. Like any parent can do 10 minutes, right? And he lights up, you can see it. Like he is so excited to tell me like, oh, I'm using this player in this game and this is the skin that I got and get as curious as you possibly can about what your kids enjoy doing. If you see them light up, go there. That's like your key. If they like reading, if they like, Minecraft, Fortnite, whatever, educate yourself. What does it look like? What are some of the characters? Like, ask them questions about things that they like doing as well. And then that's your opening because now they're connected with you, right? Like now they're like, oh, mom cares about me as a human being. She doesn't just care about my grades or how I do in school. And then you can, do like, hey, what's your plan for homework today? Or when are you, how did you do on that test you were telling me about? Then they're more likely to even tell you.
right. Or you remember you had a big project, like, are you okay planning ahead of time? Like, it's just the reminders they need. We need reminders. Like, not all of us are great with time and managing a structure. So, what when they're saying no, my kids, like, if I offer help, that's gonna be a reminder for them. Like, hey, do you need help? I remember you had a project coming up. He knows it's in my head, but he would always say no. The younger one, he's 17. he would always say no, because first of all, they all want autonomy. They don't want
Mhm.
your help. They're embarrassed at this older age to have some help because you're so superior. And maybe when you're coming to help, you actually nagging and judging and maybe this attitude. So watch out for this. So if they're rejecting your help, meaning there is something happening in the process, you probably becomes heated. Like I would be yelling mom like many years ago, like during the homework, I would
I'm
just
still a
like,
yelling mom sometimes.
oh my, we've been through like a lot of, I was doing homework with them. It's just like, and I cried most of the time, or they cried. Like there was those moments in every parent's experience. It doesn't matter if we're coaches, we're still moms, right?
Yeah, still humans.
So human. And like they feel your judgment with even if you're silent. Like you
Yeah.
walk in the room, they know you're judging. So you better start not judging inside of you, because it shows in the
Mhm.
attitude. The
Yep.
lightness, they feel the lightness. The judgment, they feel the judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So get as light as you possibly can. Like just see them for who they are. Like they're just humans having, well, they're actually just souls having human experience on this planet, just like all of us, right? They just happen to be your children. And seeing them for that, like they're going to go through their own trials and tribulations, and having compassion for that experience, I think, is key to being like, hey, you're at this point, I am maybe a little farther than you in this whole process, but how can I help you? Like I have learned a thing or two, right? I have some wisdom. Maybe I could help you. And they may say no, and that's okay too. And I
Yeah.
think
And
that's
the yeah.
important.
And great. I like the part that, because usually oftentimes in this spot a parent would ask like, but how will I make them improve? Like I'm just sitting back there and observing how they're failing. No. What you can teach, no, you can do a lot because you're high achiever parents, right? And you're smart. So your job is to see how are you neutral, like how I am connect, how I'm like, what's going on with my feelings. Will I still love my kid if I figure, yeah, they're not that ambitious as me? Will I still love them? Do you love yourself
That's a
even
scary
if
question.
do you love yourself? The second question, scary too. Like, do you love yourself when you're, if you wouldn't be ambitious? Who told
Mhm.
you that, like, if you don't have ambition, you're like a bad person? Somebody told you that. So you had
We
this
learned that from
history,
somewhere. Hmm.
you have this history that shaped your worldview, that you get to be high achiever and this is only the way to be happy. Um, Well, and I posted video recently, like always assume a good intent. Our
Hmm.
kids don't just walk around trying to be bad kids or not do their homework. There is something going on. So if you have this connection first, uh, you can ask more questions. You can ask, um, you can just be vulnerable too. Like, and for some parents, being vulnerable is hard. You can
Hmm.
say, hey, I want to be a better mom. I want to be a better mom for you. And my job as a mom is prepare you for life. So right now you're in transition toward independence, and I worried because sometimes they think we're judging, but we're worrying. If we're honest and vulnerable, it only can happen when we're connected. And
Hmm.
again, for some parents, being vulnerable is like a death sentence. It's hard.
Hmm.
So the first job is to connect with ourselves. What's going on there? Why I'm so irritated by those differences?
Hmm.
And this, so remember, always assume a good intent. So there is something probably going on with the child. It could be depression. It could be fear of growing up. It could be like fear of judgment from their peers. I want to
Yeah.
belong. I don't want to belong to my parents now because like there's a separation process, but I want to belong to them, to our to outside environment. And be aware, parents, if you're disconnected like a lot, they're going to find somebody to connect to. So we better pump those communication skills and find some compassion and understanding how their brain development going on, how amygdala is on fire, because emotions are big. And if your child is quiet on their phone, there's something going on emotionally, or there is no structure. There is no there is coaching needs to be happen. Study skills. My student yesterday, she said, like, exactly, nobody's teaching study skills. It's hard. It For some people, it's coming naturally, those study skills. We kind of know it, and that's it. And our kids are embarrassed to say that, hey, mom, I don't have study skills. They don't even understand that they need study skills.
Yeah.
Well, there's usually people problem or process problem. People problem is what's going on emotionally with them. It goes through connection. You will have more information through connection. Or the process problem. They are very sloppy with the process. And if you're a high achieving parent, you're a perfect coach for them. A perfect coach. The only thing, learn how to be a coach.
Learn those communication skills, right? Like
Right.
learn how to connect, learn how to speak so they can hear you, because otherwise it's all going to land on deaf ears and they're not going to hear you, and they're just going to be like, yeah, mom, and just do their own thing. But what really stood out to me, what you said, is usually like high achieving parents, they have very intelligent kids, right? And I think that is kind of the trigger point for a lot of them. They're like, I know my kid is super smart. I know they're really intelligent. They are just not applying themselves. They're not motivated to apply themselves. I don't understand this. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Well, smart kids may not have those study skills, and they're more than the others, may be embarrassed to bring it up. Smart kids, you said, oh, you're so smart, but you're not applying this. Boom. This is already a judgment, and this is already okay. I'm not going to ask my mom or my dad about how, like, study skills or how the process works, or because it's embarrassing. They're saying I'm smart, I get to prove it. So, like, I would say be careful about complimenting on that. I would say ask more open-ended questions. And see, like, our judgment might be blinding you from seeing what's really needed. Like, your goal is to recognize what is the need, what is the pain, and what is the need.
Mm-hmm.
And there is, like, trust me, there is more pain in our teenagers right now than just a homework. Homework is the last on their list as a pain.
Mm-hmm.
So I meet a lot of parents who are like, teens are very sharing with them a lot. Good things, use that. And kids that, like, I don't even bring up this to my parents because this is what they're gonna say. So watch what you're saying. I would say they don't need advice, they don't need judgment. And if we notice how if you look at the percentage how you compliment not only your kids, let's say coworkers, if you're a boss, like how you compliment your people who work for you. It's the same in the family. How many, like, if you compliment your kids, oh, great, 3 seconds. It took 3 seconds. When something goes wrong, you start talking and talking, talking. So
Yeah.
a fun exercise I give to parents is time yourself and exaggerate the compliment. Let's say they baked pancakes, and start talking about this nonstop, how it helped you, how they did that without you asking, and how it transformed your day because now suddenly you come to the kitchen and you're so thrilled it's done. Exaggerate it, talk about it a lot. So your goal is to reverse this percentage, the critique and the compliment. And not the compliment, just a good job, like amplify the real effect and importance. Oh, wow. when you did that without me even asking, like dude, you're moving into autonomy. You're
Mm-hmm.
becoming a young adult. Like, not only exaggerating your good job, but make more
Boost their confidence, right? Like,
detailed, uh,
mm-hmm.
mm, show them how impactful this little move. And with kids, I know it's hard to find what to compliment for. There's a lot of parents
Dig
are
deep,
sharing this.
dig deep.
Dig deeper. That's your homework. Like, sometimes I made them to create I asked them to create a list.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and surprisingly, remember I shared your
Mm-hmm.
kid, when I start coaching the first couple of sessions, I ask your teenager to create the same list. Like, what is your talents and what you need to work on? Your kids know what they have to work on. They know study skills and time management. They put all of this in it, and they judge themselves so harshly. And for parents, it's harder to do good side of the talents. But when they start dig deeper, ooh,
Mm-hmm.
apparently you look at these good qualities, and the next question would be, what do you think, what kind of qualities do you think your child might need to be happy in life? And they look at the good part of the list, actually those qualities, not a homework. So I'm gonna pass the baton.
Oh no, it's all good. I'm just saying hi to someone on Instagram that was
I didn't figure how to say hi. Like, I'm looking at the staring at this
I'm
like
wondering if there's, I think one person who's watching, if they have a question or anything that we could, a topic that we could talk about right now or touch upon. But there's one other thing that I kind of came up for me when you were talking. Um, there's a lot of kids with these high achieving parents that are very quiet. They essentially shut down, and the parents see it as like, oh, they're not connected. They don't want me around. They don't want to be with their family. They just go in their room. They answer my questions yes or no. It's very like one word answers. And so parents see it as like, oh, there's something, they're not motivated or they're not confident or they're like, they don't want anything, right? That's how parents view it. But to me, that's a symptom. If your child is shut down, if they're not wanting to connect with you, there's something going on for them internally. Usually they're either so discouraged with your responses, right? That they don't even want to hear your one other lecture about what they should be doing. So they try to limit communication as much as possible. And at the same time, they're feeling like they're not understood, they're not accepted as they are. There's something that you are doing as a parent, critiquing them, telling them they could do better, they're smart enough, blah, 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 that they perceive as criticism, like, I am not enough as I am. I need to be different. And that will shut them down immediately. Like, they're not going to want to be around you. So that's kind of like, to me, that being quiet, being withdrawn is a symptom. It's not really that something is happening to your kid. Like, it's they're showing you that they're not being accepted in the way that they are. So that's kind of my, if I went back to what you were saying, my comment on one more thing that parents should be noticing.
Yeah,
Anyway,
can I add to this?
yeah. I mean, we
So
have like probably another 5 minutes, but
yeah, great. uh, Thank you for keeping a pulse on the timing. So yeah, and to what you were saying, I just want to add, parents oftentimes would say, especially from our coming from our backgrounds, they would say like, who is going to tell you if I'm not going to tell you the truth? Dear parents, the whole world is going to tell them. The whole world. And you get to think carefully if you want your house to be um, a soft place to land,
Mhm.
or they're going to choose somebody else's house or somebody else's um, relationship, but not
Because
yours.
they're gonna look for it somewhere.
They're going to
They
look
want
for
to
it.
belong. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I don't want to scare you that much, because the separation process is normal. If they're not coming, if they need more space and they are not socializing with you as much as before when they were kids, that's normal. Sometimes it scares us because we can't let go. So we get to watch how, like, how do you say it, разжать свои руки. Sometimes it's so hard to unclench
Separate or
our
like
fists,
unclench. Yeah.
unclench our fists. So um, so if they're asking for space, we as parents get to learn how to get closer when they're open to, and when they're pushing away, just like, okay, let go. Now I get to unclench my, and get yourself busy with something else, because there's going to be a lot of resentment. Moms who were paying attention and spend a lot of time being as
Stay-at-home moms or something.
stay-at-home moms. Thank you. Stay-at-home moms, like it's a hard process for us too, and also we're going through menopause, hormonal change, so there's a lot of happening for us too, so we get to deal with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, don't be scared
So
when they're asking for space. It doesn't mean they stopped loving you. It means they are looking for this autonomy. They want to hear their own voice, because it's hard to hear our voice when your voice is always there.
yeah, for sure. And that's actually one of the major skills, how they can become confident and how can become motivated, listening to their own voice, listening to their own inner wisdom, making those decisions themselves, and then dealing with consequences, right? Like that's how you learn to trust yourself. And I think a lot of parents do step in and try and fix everything, so that their child doesn't have to go through, unpleasant emotions or suffering or whatever it may be. But I urge you, parents, unless it's like life or death situation, let your kid make that decision themselves, and then support them when it doesn't work out. Like, you get to be there and comfort them, but at least they went through this themselves. They made a decision, they faced the consequence. Yeah, maybe they didn't make the team, or that girl said no, or their boyfriend dumped them, or whatever that may be. It's their experience that kind of gets weaved into the fabric of who they are as a person. You get to comfort them outside of that, but don't try and protect them from all the all the external things that are happening to your children. It's kind of part of the process.
That's so selfish, and I'm clear that I'm judgmental right now, but
You
but
own
that's
it.
a very, but I own it. But that's very selfish. We want to live our lives, and we also are so engaged in their lives. We want to live their lives too. We get
Yeah.
to learn how to observe the egg drop or the burned plastic in the microwave, or we get to observe their sloppiness. We get to learn how to observe mistakes, because the more mistakes they do, it's better for them. They're getting this
Yeah.
autonomy. They feel, and then, like you said, asking them, hey, do you need to support? Let's say there's something at school and the grades need to be fixed. Do you want me to email your teacher? And my son would be saying no, but like, because I'm asking, I'm ready to step in. I'm showing him I'm ready to step in. Look, let me know if you need. I can get involved with the teacher. I can say those right words. Because he was sick for a week, and there was a test, and there was a situation when he was stressed that he's gonna fail the test, but he was like having a fever for a couple of days. So I stepped in, and I'm saying, like, do you want me to email your teachers? So like, you're asking, yeah.
By asking that, you're
But
showing that you
by
care. Yeah.
letting them, yeah, but letting them to solve that, like asking, like, how are you gonna solve this? Do you need my help? And that's it. Then step out if they're saying no.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think this was really good. Do you feel like we covered everything? I
I
mean,
don't
not
know. There's a
everything.
lot of things like I
We
think
never can
I think
cover
it's
everything.
exactly. I think it's a good space for now to finish. I still didn't figure out how this application to answer questions and whether or not we're
We didn't
live
have
and
any
whatever.
questions. I was kind of
Okay,
watching
great.
our
So
chat. Yeah.
they're gonna see recordings, and this application is helping me actually to do shorts. So this is why we're using it, and I'm experimenting it with it. But this is a good place to wrap it up because there's so much more to this, and maybe we have your answers not answered. Get into coaching, guys, because every situation is a unique situation, and sometimes a coach is not a parent, can connect to your kid. I was asking my dear friend who was psychologist to connect with my oldest son. I keep pulse on my youngest son, like what other adult can be for him, who
Hmm.
he can share with. So use coaching if it's available for you. It's a good investment actually, and take care of you on the side because coaching parents and coaching teenagers looks so different. And I'm gonna do May 7th, the workshop on
Oh
boundaries.
yeah.
So May
Yeah, tell
7th
us
at
about that.
6. No, I don't want to tell us about this. I'm just like
No,
inviting
what is
us
it
like,
about? What is it
oh,
about?
boundaries, because
Boundaries.
when
Okay.
yeah, because there's to the topic that we spoke about, sometimes
Hmm.
there's a lot about boundaries, like,
For
okay, I
sure.
want them to perform, but how do I do this? First you
Hmm.
create rules because they don't know the rules in your house.
Yeah.
um, well, it's a good one because to this workshop, people bring different questions, not only about their teenagers and how to make them more motivated, how to create those boundaries. This is what must do. This is I can be flexible on, and this is what's the difference at all between control, boundary, and request. We mixed up all three. Like once we experienced this in the workshop, we don't
Hmm.
really clearly know what's the boundary, what the boundary is. So
Hmm.
May 7, it's going to be held in English. I did that already for Russian speaking population. Yeah, so you're going to see it in my feed. I'm going to send
Awesome.
reminders.
Yeah, that's a good way to even continue this conversation for high achieving parents, because usually these high achieving parents ask me like, so I should just let them, not do any homework, like should I just, take them to do their nails and play video games? Like, no, this is the next step is boundaries. You still need to be the parent in that relationship,
Right,
right?
not their friend. Right, and you get to learn how to create the deal. You get to
Yeah.
close the deal. You get to close the deal. You get to make them say yes to your deal. If they're not saying yes, they're not going to follow through. So there's a lot of interesting details about boundaries. So welcome. Do you have anything coming up soon? Because last
No, I
time you had
don't.
workshop. Okay,
I don't, not
just
at the
follow.
moment.
Yeah, so follow Winslow Coaching. So and ZS Life Coaching as well. We're gonna email you who are loyal clients or people we know. Stay in touch. I'm
All
gonna say bye
right.
right now.
Good to see you, Zhanna. Bye bye.
Thank you, Kate. Good to see you too. It's really, really fun to do live streams with you. We're gonna do more often. Okay, how can I stop this now? End stream. Good.